Hi beautiful ladies, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to talk about why Black women need to stop begging to be accepted. And this goes for Black women of all shades, but unfortunately this is a behavior that we see mostly Black women of darker skin tones, because many dark-skinned Black women still have this internalized colorism issue where, because of certain mentalities and tropes and things that have been passed around in the Black community, they kind of internalize that and then apply it to their lived experiences outside of the Black community. And it's normal for you to perceive your reality based on your upbringing. Like, that's literally how human beings are socialized. But I'm going to tell you why that behavior is dangerous, in particular if you are a darker skinned Black woman, and why you will continue to have experiences like this if you operate from this lens.
Yeah, y'all, I'm trying to figure out why I'm in the middle of Miami. Literally at what time?
It's 12:44.
At 12:44, we go to a club called Mona. Do you know this club told me I'm too dark and too thick? Didn't let her in because she's too thick. Dark?
Bitches have audacity.
What's really going on, Miami? All too dark to get in the club? Yeah, no. Somebody need to let me know what's going on in Miami. Seriously.
I really need Black women to raise their standards and see this as an opportunity to align with higher quality experiences. Maybe rejection from these low tier places is divine alignment, trying to lead you to better, because God or whoever you believe in, that you've been operating at such a low level for so long that you have the potential to achieve and experience more. But you have to do the work to get there, whether it's a mindset shift, weight loss, improving your style, and not believing and internalizing the belief that having darker skin is a handicap. A lot of Black women in general are intimidated by the idea of branching out and exploring upper echelon experiences, because they believe that what happened at this and similar ratchet clubs will happen in those spaces, because they think that if you share the same skin tone, race, culture, whatever as someone, that you all think alike. And so that experience, if it happened in this space, then that experience must be true in another space. And that's a mentality that is kind of adopted in the Black community in general. There's a saying that goes like, not all skin folk are kinfolk, and that's true. But at the same time, for the most part, Black people kind of suffer from this groupthink mentality where if you're not on code with the Black collective, you'll start to see this crabs in a bucket mentality where if you try to step out, maybe date outside your race, maybe move to a better community, you're discouraged and try to be brought back, like, who do you think you are, type of thing. And so if this is your only experience, you tend to believe that, oh, you know, because I believe this and because other people around me kind of in my community think this way as well, then this must be a universal human experience, when actually a lot of communities, and yes, there are cultures who also suffer from the crabs in a bucket mentality, but for the most part in North America, in the West, especially people who are more well-to-do, they value like-mindedness over whether or not you have 4C hair or your Fitzpatrick color. So whether or not you have dark skin. So Black people, because of this mentality, they take it as that all non-Black people are unaccepting of Black people because of color, without understanding nuances in more elite spaces. If you're a classy professional, you won't have to deal with the bottom of the barrel experiences in these classier establishments, because the mindset, again, is different. In these classier establishments, professional, and when I say classy, I'm not even talking about like wealthy, leveled up, as people like to say, like throw around these words like wealthy, rich. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about just basic, non-ratchet club experiences. They value connecting with like-minded people who they can form a network with over shade and skin tone, because they know that your network is your net worth. They know that aligning with like-minded people who have a more refined mentality, a more objective way of looking at life, are just better people to be around in general. Honestly, you shouldn't want to go to a club like this anyway, because this club looks like a hot ghetto mess. But, hey, some people, they like that scene. You can't complain about having low tier experiences when you keep going to low tier places. Like, what did you expect was going to happen? This club in particular brands themselves as a luxury and elegant experience. But this only appeals to people who think that a trip to Miami is a luxury experience because of the large celebrity presence. So clubs like this tend to attract like the ballers, the rappers, the artists, those type of crowds. And so people think like that's the only way that you can make wealth. If you have if you come from a low income background or you have like this hood perspective, the only way that you can make it out is if you're an athlete or if you're a rapper. And so naturally they would think like, oh, like a place where these celebrities frequent, these rappers and athletes frequent, like that must mean like, yeah, it's a luxury place, without even considering that there's like a whole other world of like wealth and affluence that exists outside of these low tier celebrity spaces. And people have this mentality because they haven't traveled outside of their country or state, or they're just simply uncultured. They only know what's going on around them or what's going on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, for people who look like them, people who share the same mentality, but they don't know about like geography, international cuisine, etc. And no, tacos and churros don't count. But what part of this looks like luxury, let alone elegance? All you see are like half naked women surrounding a man in a suit and like twerking with bottles up. There's nothing luxurious about that, and there's nothing elegant about that. So, and it doesn't look like, to that woman's defense, it doesn't look like she was going there for like a luxury experience anyway, from the simple fact of how she looked, like how she was dressed. She was wearing like those underwear shorts that like with a really like cheap knit material. So she probably just wanted to go there and have a good time. But the point I'm trying to make is I wouldn't be trusting of an establishment. They promote a certain aesthetic in order to promote their luxury and elegant experience when there's nothing actually luxurious about it. Like, this looks cheap. It looks trashy. It's honestly giving like Fashion Nova, Shein, City Trends, Rainbow, Instagram baddie aesthetic. There's like, you will never catch an actual affluent person like Jeff Bezos' friends, and obviously like Jeff Bezos like is like a different level, but like the type of people that he would rub shoulders with would never be caught dead in an establishment like this. So don't let an establishment like that make you feel less than when they're not even owning up to the image that they themselves are trying to promote. Memberships are now live on this channel. Click the link in the description box to sign up to receive access to exclusive content and perks. And another thing, we know that this club and so many others are probably a front for SEX work and trafficking because Miami is a hot spot for that, especially like the Miami Beach area. Just simply based upon the fact that Miami Beach has a high crime rate compared to other areas in Florida. So like that area is just ghetto in general anyway. And so with that, clubs are very intentional about their image because they want to attract certain clientele, not only like people who will pay for like bottle service, but because they want to attract horny men who will pay extra for some ASS. Unfortunately, so many women and girls fit this aesthetic like when you go into the club, whether they're like a baddie or not, whether they look like the girls that are promoted on social media to try and attract their target clientele or not. When it comes to like the clothing, the makeup, sometimes like the lip fillers and such, a lot of them fit this aesthetic because they are literally groomed to look like what their paying customers want. And some of those girls are unfortunately held against their will. It sounds bad, but if they let in women who look like the girl in the video and her friends, not so much the non-black girl because she was kind of dressed up to look like what they want like their patrons to wear. But if they let like the two black girls in, it would honestly drive away, if they continue to do that and like a good chunk of their guests look like that, it would drive away business because they're not paying for, those clients are not paying for the chance to bed women who look like those, unfortunately. They're paying to like have a chance to bed girls that look like what they promote on social media, and they will then go to the clubs that can provide them with the women that they want. So this is all the more reason to stop being obsessed with men, because some only see women as a commodity, and if you run in this circle or try to, you'll forever encounter losers like that. And even if you're not going to encounter a guy that's looking to traffic or like have a good time like that, I know that some women go to clubs to try to find a partner or even a husband. Yes, I know that sounds crazy, but and particularly Black women are going for like these low tier Black men that frequent these spaces. Again, you're going to only encounter low tier men who will treat you poorly, and that just goes for like regardless of your race or shade. The only type of men that are going, no self-respecting man is going to go there. And that's not to say that like some men like won't go out to have a drink or have a good time with the boys, but usually when a man is like more mature, like in his mid to late 30s and up, or he's a professional, he's not going to be caught dead in a place like that because there's too much to lose. Like, he doesn't want to be associated with the cheap, cheesy machismo aesthetic, and they don't want to run the risk of like a potential client or an employer, if they have a high paying job, catching them in a place like that, because people know again what goes on behind closed doors. So if you're looking for a healthy relationship with a man who won't mistreat you, you're unfortunately not going to find him in a chum bucket club like that. So you need to go to the upper echelon places, or just the simply non-ratchet places where you stand a better chance of finding a better quality human being. And I also need Black women to stop forcing people to accept you in the name of trying to invoke change. It's 2025 and people for the most part are informed on social issues. So at this point, people believe what they want to believe and they do what they want to do. So if someone excludes you, if they really are excluding you because of your skin tone or your race, they're doing it because they want to, not because they don't know any better. If you live in the West where, especially like the US, Canada, maybe a little bit of the UK, where like these topics are constant and circulating, people know better. They know that colorism is wrong. They know that fat phobia is unacceptable in some space, like on social media. But they hold on to these beliefs. They keep doing fat phobic colorist things because they want to, because they think that their actions and their beliefs are justified based on the situation, not because they don't know any better and they need you to educate them. So stop wasting your breath and your energy trying to convince people to see your worth. And a lot of times you see Black women do this with brands where you beg for inclusion rather than just supporting the brands that have demonstrated that they include you. Or sometimes even worse, like Black women will go on this smear campaign against brands who don't explicitly say, oh yes, like we're all here for Black women, because those brands don't only cater to Black women. Those brands also have Asian, East Asian, South Asian, Latina, like non-Black clientele to appeal to. And so they don't owe you exclusive pandering. So the begging is not cute and it will only fuel the fire. And I truly believe that this is another example of Black women choosing to be the victim yet again. Honestly, Black women, your self-esteem will improve when you stop having an external locus of control and take ownership for your own feelings of self-worth and stop looking for other people to validate you. Okay? Getting admitted into a club as a dark-skinned Black woman is a very, very sad and low-level way of measuring your self-worth. It really is. And on the flip side, not everyone is racist or colorist just because they don't accept you or don't want you in their space. If you look at this club's TikTok, you can see that they have a clear aesthetic, again, that I mentioned before. And Black women of all shades are included in that aesthetic, including some Black women who are darker than her. And there probably are other Black women who look like her or who are darker that we've never seen. They just weren't captured in the promotion. Some argue that there's just a handful from what we can see on social media, but that's because honestly, I know you're gonna hate me for this, but a good chunk of Black women don't match their desired look. They match this lady's aesthetic. No offense, it's the tacky clothing, the spider lashes, and just being loud. And for the Black women who aren't ghetto fabulous like this, they wouldn't be caught dead in that cesspool. They're at dinner parties, they're in the Hamptons, Martha's Vineyard, they're traveling to Europe, Asia, Bahamas, like whatever. They are seeing the world because they realize that, like, again, going to Miami is not a luxury experience. Unless you're going to like the more private locations, going to Miami is like not a flex. Like, I know some people think like, oh, I've made it if I go to Miami. And then like when you mention to them like, oh, okay, like would you consider a trip in Spain, for example? Would you consider a trip in the Bahamas or Cuba? Would you consider going to Japan? They'd be like, oh, ew, no, like those are boring. Like, why would I ever want to go there? Their idea of like luxury is going on a Carnival cruise. So of course, like when you have like a small handful to choose from a certain demographic, that would leave a small percentage of Black women who fit their targeted clientele, which is like the fit Instagram baddie aesthetic. Oh, and as an aside, I noticed that this woman is a stroke survivor and she currently has lupus. She should honestly, in my opinion, be focusing on getting healthy and not running herself into the ground trying to get into these ghetto ass clubs. And just because you have a disease or disability doesn't mean that you have to put your life on hold and not experience nightlife or have fun. But honestly, situations like this are stressful. Environments like this are stressful. Sometimes there's a lot of violence that goes on in these lower tier clubs. And so not only are you putting yourself at risk, like quite literally, like physically, in terms of potentially being in imminent danger. I'm not saying that anything has happened at this club, but like it's not uncommon for things to happen at clubs similar to this. You're also putting your long-term health in jeopardy. And so way too many people, way too many Black women are unfortunately passing away young because of issue like having a stroke. I don't even think she's hit 40 yet. And the fact that she's had a stroke already just tells me that like there's probably a lot of stress that she's had to deal with and lifestyle choices that she's making that contributed to that. And then having something like lupus on top of that, like, girl, you don't need the stress of being in an environment like this at all. But anyway, if you know of any better experiences, any classier, more better quality, like nightlife experiences in Miami or just other parts in Florida, drop it down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.